Hello and welcome to the More to Life podcast. I'm your host, Elle Mace, and today I have with me here the fabulous Shona Manderson. Hello, Shona.
Hello, hi, thanks for having me.
How are you doing today? You all good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Really
So,
good.
I was about to say how to introduce you. I mean, you came into my world through watching Married at First Sight, so I know you from maths. Other people may know you from your yoga and other bits and bobs. So just give us a bit more of an introduction into you. Who are you? What do you do?
Hi, my name's Shona Manderson. I'm 32 years old. I live in Nottingham with my dog Winston, my beautiful housemate. I am a newly qualified yoga teacher. I have been on Married at First Sight. I put myself out there to go and marry a complete stranger because I was ready to meet the love of my life, and it did not work out in that way at all. But then it did because the universe was on my side, and I met my lovely boyfriend Matty through being on the show.
Yeah.
But I'm also still, since being on the show, I still teach part-time. I still work with kids as well, so I'm a drama teacher and a dog walker.
I
So
love it.
I think that's enough about me
A woman of
in a
many
nutshell.
talents. I love
Yeah.
it. So, what did you do before maths? Is this were you doing all those things before maths, as in the
Yeah.
talking and the teaching?
Yeah, so I'm not a 9 to 5 kind of person at all. Never have been. I've never worked a 9 to 5. I've always been freelance.
Yeah.
So I've always been a freelance performing arts teacher. I did do the whole performing bit for a couple of years, but I found the industry really, really hard. And then decided, you know what, this is my vibe, bit more chill, working with the kids and part time. I actually used to make candles as well in lockdown, but that didn't last long. I always try new things.
Yeah.
Always try like new things to get quite bored. And I was just always trying to find my feet in my 20s anyway. But anyway, side hustle is looking after dogs because I love them. And yeah, then in June last year, I went out and did my yoga teacher training at Santosha in Sri Lanka, Santosha Yoga Institute. They also have yoga practices in Bali, but honestly, it was amazing. The best thing I ever could have done because it was such a healing journey. That was after maths, and it was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, exactly what you needed. So I've seen how flexible you are, and you're also coming to Revive and Thrive retreat in May as our
Um,
as our yoga teacher, as our yogi. And so because of that, obviously we've spoken a lot about yoga, and I've seen some of your videos, and you're so flexible. Have you always been that flexible?
I've always been quite flexible. I used to dance and stuff when I was younger. I wouldn't say I was ever the best dancer, but I was always like, I can do splits on left and right. Like it was just a thing that I could always do.
Yeah,
And I still can, but at the moment I'm training for the marathon. Oh my God, my bum is so tight that
yeah,
I can barely even touch my toes at the moment. I'm so tight because they always say, I remember training for the half marathon a few years ago, and my dance teacher at the time, well, this is actually years and years ago, my dance teacher at the time was like, running is the worst thing you can do for your flexibility. So at
mm.
the moment, I am trying so hard to just keep stretching and rolling because I do not want to lose my splits on my left and my right.
No, don't lose those. When I first saw them, I thought, oh, I wonder if you've literally learned to do those since your yoga training, because that would be like within 9 months or
Oh
something,
yeah.
10
No,
months.
I've always been quite flexible, but I just
Yeah.
maintain it. Every time I go to the gym, I'll do my splits on my left and the right at the end. And but now I'm like, oh my God, it's so I can barely touch my toes, honestly. I'm
This
so
is
tired.
this is the really hard thing with training because I
Mm,
love doing yoga. I really, really do. And I'm a bit out of it at the moment, but I also go to the gym a lot. I do heavy weights, and I find
mm.
that really gets in the way of me kind of it will be obviously very beneficial to do yoga with the stretching and everything, but it gets in the way of me being like really bendy in yoga because I'm constantly there going, oh, can't turn this,
Yeah,
can't turn
yeah.
that. Yeah, it's
I know.
difficult.
You've got to have like a really good balance between them both. But like running, I would say is the like I do a lot of strength training and I've always been able to do that alongside my yoga fine. But running, because I'm doing like 25K runs, it's mental. And then when I come back, I'm like, whole body is just like this, like so tight and so sore. I'm doing a 30K on Sunday.
Do you run all completely on your own when you're training?
Yeah, lonely runner. An
Oh,
absolutely runner. And I keep doing the same route because I know it works. So it's really quite boring. That everyone's like, mix
yeah.
up the route. But if I mix up the route, I'll get lost. So I just do the same thing. Listen to
Yeah.
like my really good marathon playlist that I found on Spotify and just go.
Just, just,
Yeah,
just get out and go. Is it the
do
London
it.
Marathon you're doing?
Yeah, it's London.
Where, what month is it again?
It's in a month.
Oh,
It's in
how
one
is
month. I was loving saying before it's like 12 weeks, and now I'm like, it's a month. But yeah, I can do this. I got this. It's just I've got IT band syndrome now as well. So
Mm,
I was a bit cocky when I signed up because I was like, I'm really quite a natural runner, blah blah blah. Like I can just keep going, and now I'm injured, and now I'm just
yeah. Do you know what?
yeah.
though? I did it 2016. It was, other than my beautiful children and my day of marriage, it was the most incredible, most amazing day I've ever had.
Yeah,
And
everyone says that.
oh, it's insane. And actually, I was injured, my friend was injured, but the crowd that just cheer you on from start to finish, apart from a really like dark bit where you go under the bridge for like what feels like ages, there's no one there to support you. The
Oh my God,
crowd was
no.
there. I think that's like Black Friars or something. I'll have to find it out for you. So just prepare your best tunes for in that period.
Okay.
But the crowd cheer you on, and your endorphins and excitement, like you will smash it.
Yeah, I think I would definitely cry because I get emotional when I'm running around on my own anyway, training.
Yeah.
I'm like tearing up, like I'm so proud of myself and like thinking about why I'm doing it and like
Yeah.
just imagining seeing Matt and Winston at the finish line. It's already making me like feel emotional.
Oh yeah. Oh, and you will cry. I cried so much because like everyone in front of you is wearing vests, and there's
Yeah,
like children on vests with their names, and I yeah, it's really hard to run and cry at the same time.
I know.
It's
It's gonna be
amazing.
the whole way, especially if my knee plays up, honestly. But
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
You
well done to you for doing it.
I mean, yeah, how we're 8 years ago now, 7 or 8 years ago. But I'm not like a runner. And I didn't do great training either. So if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Maybe I'll come and cheer you on. I'll be at the end. I'll bring you some donuts at the
Yeah,
end.
come.
Yeah,
More
definitely.
the merrier.
So
Yeah.
you have been really brave by saying, well, talking to me and saying that you're happy to share your experiences and everything that you've been through. And obviously more recently you've been through some really ups and downs, like extreme highs of maths and also extreme lows with the outcome of some of maths. But
Yeah.
also you've been open to share that you've suffered with bulimia for many years,
Mm-hmm.
which sharing your story is going to help so many people. I can't even tell you. So do you want to just take us back to little Shona? What was life like growing up? What were you like? When did all this stuff start to kick off, and how did it come about?
Okay, so I would say as a kid, I was a really happy kid. Primary
Mm,
school, then when they say school is the best years of your life, I'd say primary school, yes, secondary school, no.
yeah.
Primary school was just so fun. But I would say like I was a very troubled teenager and I started to become quite aware. I think I became aware of my weight when I was quite young because like my mum used to go to Weight Watchers and my sister's 4 years older than me. So when she hit her teens, like she was quite weight conscious. And I was always kind of like the chubby kid. Like,
Mm,
oh, because I was the youngest one out of like my sister, and we had family friends that were older than us. Like, everyone was older. I was always the youngest. So every like party we went to, I was always like cute little Shona, and people used to always call me chubby and cute. And
mm,
that never really like bothered me as a kid, but then I was always kind of aware of it, and I was aware that I was like bigger than
mm,
my friends. Like I wasn't a big kid, but I wasn't the super skinny kid. Then I
mm,
jumped to secondary school, became hyper aware of what I looked like.
mm,
But the jump from primary school to secondary, when I went to this particular secondary school, the girls were so grown up in year 7, full
mm.
on makeup, songs, like loved boys, spoke about boys all the time. It was boy crazy. And they were the girls that I hung out with. And all of a sudden I was like, boom, I'm obsessed with boys. Like, and I was just loving school for purely the fact that it was fun and it was sociable and it was boys. And anyway, my mum and dad felt like I was hanging out with people that they basically didn't want me to hang out with. And I loved my friends, loved
Yeah.
them. And I started to hang out with older people and I got a lot of attention from older guys. Started to date this older boy. who was way too old for me. Anyway, my parents moved me schools, and I was like, "Wow!" Did not want to move. Me and my family at the time not see eye to eye. Was not getting on with my sister. Was not getting on with my parents. Like, I remember the teenage household was just very shouty and a
Yeah.
lot of grounding, and like, I want to go see my friends. Well, you're not allowed, and you need to hang out with these kind of people, and da 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 da. You're not allowed to see him anymore. Anyway, fast forward a bit of time, I'm at this new school and I'm 14. And I always say that being when I was 14 was the hardest year of my life. So I've
Mm.
moved to this new school, got so much attention being this new person, like loads and loads of overwhelming amount of attention actually, but it came with a lot of negative attention as well. So I started to get picked on a lot. Like, I felt like girls just hated me. Had made friends at this new school, thankfully, but it was like older girls, girls from other schools. Like, it was the MSN days. So
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh
it was
God.
the MySpace days. It was the days where you had what was that website? Pixo, and it was like, who's prettier? Do you
Oh,
remember that?
oh, I
And
don't.
these
Oh.
just horrible, horrible, horrible stuff. And I started to get really, really picked on by girls. Anyway, had this older boyfriend. He ghosts me when I'm 14 years old. Never speaks to me again after having this secret relationship with him for 2 years. And honestly, that was my first experience of just feeling so rejected and heartbroken because he ghosted me after the biggest intimacy thing. And I was 14 and
Yeah.
I'd built my trust with this person.
Mm.
And I was at this new school getting picked on. Me and my family were not seeing eye to eye, and I took a lot of comfort in food.
Yeah.
So at my old school, I used to go out and play out on the park with all my mates. This new school, I wasn't allowed to do that. It was always kind of like, just come home, and like, I'd hang out with my new friends that were just more introverted and like weren't like my old mates. So we didn't do that kind of stuff. And I started to put a lot of weight on. And
Mm.
I remember wearing my school trousers in the toilet and they weren't fitting me. And people started to be like, Shona, you've put on weight. And like, people from my started to say, like, you've got fat since you left like our school, and like, what's happened to you? You used to look so good. And like, girls that were bullying me for what I looked like now were bullying me for my weight.
Oh, you cannot
And
win.
no, it was horrible. Honestly, it was horrible. And I remember just going home. I started to write a diary. And at this point, again, in the same year, just been ghosted, started to get bullied. My mum was really unwell, but I didn't know.
Mm.
And me and my mum weren't seeing eye to eye because my mum's way of dealing with me at school was to be, I hate to say this word, but, and I've spoken to her about it and she's completely fine with it, is just to control the situation. So
Yeah.
she'd drive me to school, she'd get me put on report at school just to make sure that I was like doing well. She
Yeah.
would pick me up from school. She would just do everything. Like, she'd answer the phone, the the house phone. I'd be on the phone to my friend, and then I could hear her breathing down the other end. And she'd go through my drawers. She'd read my diary. She followed me to the park. Honestly, it was so intense that I would just be like,
You can't
"Mom,
breathe. And you
I
at that
can't breathe."
age, you all you want is autonomy, isn't it? Like all you want
Yeah,
is like I rule my own life. I mean, even my 3-year-old, 4-year-old wants autonomy,
yeah,
let alone
yeah,
a 15, 16-year-old.
yeah. And it was just intense. And I know that it was doing from a place of, I don't want you to see that older guy again and all this kind of stuff. And I don't want you to get in with the wrong crowd again and blah, blah, blah. But it was honestly so suffocating. And anyway, I didn't know that my mum had major depression and she got diagnosed with bipolar. She got sectioned when I was 14. My sister had gone off to uni. So it was just me and my dad in the house and she was put on. So I remember like all these people came to the house, didn't know what was going on, but my mum had psychosis. She was hallucinating and she was like crawling around the house. She was seeing tarantulas crawling up the wall. And she went into hospital and felt like she was there forever. And I wasn't allowed to go see her. I remember just sitting in my bedroom, my mum and dad's house, writing in my diary, I'm fat, I miss mom. And like, honestly, I found this diary in lockdown and it just made me cry my heart out because I was just so, I just felt like so lonely. And everything was new at this new school, and my mum was so unwell, but it was so weird because all I ever got was a little leaflet saying, "This is bipolar." And my mum was in this hospital, wasn't allowed to go see her. And then I was like sent to go stay with my friends for a bit because like my dad was like always going to the hospital to see my mum. And then my mum came out of hospital and it was all like hush hush, nothing has happened, go back to normal. But then that kept happening. So my mum throughout my teens was poorly, would be sectioned again, and then nothing, let's not talk about it, everything's back to normal, poorly, sectioned again. And mine and my mum's relationship was just like a bit tricky, like throughout my teens. But I think for me, like on reflection of it all, never really understood like how she was feeling. And anyway, that day when I was writing in my diary, I was just being like, I'm getting called fat. Like I was writing all these quotes, like positive affirmations. I'm beautiful. They're jealous. Ignore them. Like trying to speak nicely to myself, but
Yeah.
just really struggling because at the same time, when I was coming home to try and talk to my family about it, like I'm really, really struggling. They would just say, wear less makeup, blend in, like you're standing out too much. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know
Oh,
what to do. And I
oh,
don't want to be fat. And
that's
then
really,
and then
there's two like voices there, isn't there? There's you being your cheerleader, like
yeah,
fair play to you for doing positive
yeah.
affirmations at that age.
Honestly, babes, I should show you this diary because it's like I'm proud of me for being like that. Like I made up a quote like jealousy is an illness, get well soon. Like I would say, because everyone would say to me, Shona, they're just jealous. But then I was like, but all my friends were so beautiful and great and had so much stuff going for them, but they didn't get picked on. So as a 14-year-old, I just couldn't understand. But I
Yeah,
think it just was part of being like the new girl, and it was just always going to be that way that, yeah, I'd put on weight and bam, they're going to try and make me feel so shit about it. And it worked because I went on like the biggest diet, used to
yeah,
eat my mum's Weight Watcher meals. And
yeah,
I remember going, those microwave ones,
yeah,
cottage pie, fish pie, and all that stuff. It's like
yeah.
14 coming home eating that, but only eating half. And then like watching the whole all of my weight like fall off because I had gone up to being like more than like a probably like a size 12-ish kind of vibe, but as a going from being like a size 8 to a size 12 when you're like 14 is quite
Mm,
a big jump. Like your body's changed, like these massive boobs. And
mm.
then there was a lot of lost the weight instantly, kind of like the fat comments went, but I still got bullied, but the fat comments weren't. So there was still shitty things like I will never ever forget how boys at school would speak to the girls and comment on the weight and talk about their appearance. And I think to this day, like I really hope that level has just calmed down and the kids are more educated. But they'd be like, oh, compare us girls and be like, oh, Shona, you've got the best face, but Emma, you've got the sexiest body, and like you'd
Oh,
be better, Shona, if you lost a bit of weight.
do you know
Sorry.
what? Thing is with that Shona is like we say we hope it's better now, and I pray to God it is in schools. But then you've got what's it called on the telly at the moment? Love Island. Who would you snog marry?
Yeah.
Whose
Oh, and
face
it's
would you
so
put with a
toxic.
body? Like they are
So toxic.
literally the kids watch this. They are.
Yeah.
I don't understand how it's still airing. I don't get it.
No. So toxic.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was the one of the reasons. Like people are like, would you ever go on Love Island? I was like, no, purely for that. Like how and to even to say that to somebody else, I would be like, no, I'm not saying I'd rather have your face in your body. No way.
so mean. School, what you're telling me here about those school kids, those girls and the boys, everyone, we do what we know is hurt people, and they would have all had their own insecurities, but it doesn't take away the fact that you were hearing it and you were, probably believing it to a certain extent, like it was landing with you and it was really
Oh
affecting
yeah,
you. So mean.
it really did. But it was, I think, for me then, I think I got so much validation from because you are a teenager and you are just trying to fit in essentially and get by. Like life is really hard. Like I remember feeling so self-conscious and but also at the same time always trying to like be like, no, come on, Shane, you got this. Like, you're better than this, you're better than them. And like, stick up for myself, but always battling with that. Like, going home and actually, like, you know what, this is really, really getting to me now. Because, like, even when the fat comments stopped, I still got picked on, but it was almost like at this point, I'd started to I was like 15, and I used to go to school, and my bulimia, so I didn't even say when my bulimia started. It started when that year when my mum was sectioned. That's when I started to make myself sick and diet and eat my Weight Watchers meals. But it was more like a stress release for me. It was like if we had like a big dinner, then
Yeah.
I'd make myself sick. It wasn't so regular.
Yeah.
But for me, so then from then, when I'd lost the weight, that's when I used to really just restrict, and I used to go to school and not eat my lunch, and I used to save my lunch money. And I was always weighing myself every day when I was that age, and I was always comparing myself because I felt like at this point was when I started to have romantic relationships. My first like kind of since that other guy had this boyfriend, and again, I will say I said this to him at the gym because when I went on maths, he came up to me and went, "Oh, you're not the chubby girl from school anymore, are you, Shona?" And this was my boyfriend at the time when I was like 15. And that took me straight back to the comments he used to say, like, "Oh, you'd be like better if you look like this." Like I remember him getting a picture of this girl on MySpace, like her body is so fit, like comparing my body to hers, like commenting on how many cookies I'd ate, things like that. And they're the kind of relationships that I was getting into when I was young, because I didn't have a healthy relationship until I was in my like late 20s. Like every guy I was with would speak to me like that. And anyway, I was with this guy when I was like 15, 16, besotted with him. He made me, even though he spoke to me like that, bam, broke up with me for someone else. And it just spiraled my eating and my bulimia. And I think it was that. And my self-esteem was just low anyway. But by that point, and he would be so shocked to hear that that's what happened. But at the time, like it just massively made me feel I was the problem and I wasn't good enough, and broken up with me for this girl that was skinnier than me. And like that was just my biggest insecurity, because I was dealing with all the time, even though I was definitely such a healthy weight at this point, still people commenting on my body. I remember being in this like, so these moments you remember so clearly, this dance class when we all had to lift each other up, but then this guy just said in front of everyone, "Well, we can't lift Shona because she's the heaviest." And like those little things
Yeah,
just
that's
stick in your head.
all
They really
always.
do. I remember this guy at this house party being like, "Oh, Shona the whale." But babes, I was literally like a size 10. And even if I was big, like, oh, it makes me so angry talking about this. But those
Yeah.
little moments of just, and then even just being with your friends and like girls being like, "Oh, I wish I looked like this. I wish my thigh gap is," and you're sat there looking at your body thinking, "Okay, that's the way that everyone wants to look. And I don't look anything like that." And you just feel like you need to shrink yourself to be accepted. And as soon as I started to lose all this weight, I lost this weight so fast, because this is when my major restriction started, and my chewing and spitting and my making myself sick like 3 times a day. Like it was really, it just came and it got addictive. I got addicted to it because so many people started to say to me, "Oh my gosh, Shoni, you look so good." No one had any idea at this point. He's lost so much weight. We're doing so well. I remember this, and my drama teacher at the time, we were doing so well. And I was chewing gum. And she was like, "Oh, you're chewing gum. That's what I do when I want to lose weight." She was like, "How much weight have you lost?" And it was just so positive. And I just felt really uncomfortable talking about it, because I felt like, oh my God, people know. And people started to click on, like my school friends and my family. And it got to the point where, like, I never got super skinny, but I was like obsessed with being like 9 stone. And I remember being at one point like 8 stone 10, and I felt amazing. And then I like crept up to like 9 stone. And then if I ever went over 9 stone, I would just sob. And it was like 9 stone was my safety thing. I was obsessed with laxatives. And I remember just feeling so bloated all the time, drinking Diet Coke. My tummy was so sore. Like I'd take sometimes up to like 6 laxatives a day to make myself poo. I remember sometimes never pooing, like in a week I pooed like a tiny, tiny poo. I was constantly like feeling so tired. I'd call in sick to sixth form all the time.
Yes.
I'd fall out with people because I'd be so cranky. My breath
Yeah.
would smell.
Awful. All of that,
Honestly,
not, it's just not worth it.
not a quality of life at all.
No.
At all. And hiding it from everyone, such a secret, like going to this new boyfriend who actually was a really lovely boyfriend. But at this time, going to his house and saying to my dad, "Oh, I'll have dinner at his," but then getting to his and being like, "Oh, I've had dinner at home," and it was constant secrets and lies and feeling really like not close to anybody because I feel like I'm just lying to everybody. It was
Yeah.
just, yeah.
I'm from all of this, I'm just hearing that you were just in survival mode. How do
Mm,
you survive the bullies, the boyfriends, getting by, actually having some form of energy? Actually, you had so much emotion going on with your mom and,
mm,
everything. And you wouldn't have had the emotional intelligence or, be able to process that emotion. So you were just in survival mode and it was just getting more and more and more chaotic.
mm.
And
It really was. But I remember that time that brings back a memory of again when I went to my boyfriend, I'm just going to have a Diet Coke, I've had my dinner. That was the time again when my mum was in hospital. And I asked him, because we were 18 at this point, I said, "Will you come with me?" He was like, "No, that's scary. Like, everyone's really weird on those kind of wards." And I remember just feeling, I think, just really lonely and
okay.
not able to talk to anyone about stuff because my sister was never there. My sister was in Australia at this point again. And every time and again, like me and my sister didn't have the best relationship growing up. Um, so never really felt like I'd speak to her about it.
Mm.
But, and again, like my parents did really, really try, even though my mum was so poorly. Like I remember my dad really, really tried to help me with my bulimia. He took me to the GP, and the GP said I wasn't underweight. I was actually a really healthy weight, so there's nothing they could do about it.
Yeah.
Um, I remember my mum absolutely complaining, going to the GP and be like, "I'm never coming to see you again." I was like so angry and upset. She wasn't shouting, that was so over the top, but she wrote a strong letter. But
Mm.
then they sent me to private CBT, and
Yeah.
it really helped because I
Amazing.
think I just had so much stuff I wanted to talk about as well. It wasn't just, "Oh, like, I'm really struggling with my weight." Is I wanted to talk about my mom. I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about the bullying. I wanted to talk about all this different stuff. And
Mm.
I got my eating under control.
Yeah. You had so much you needed to share and offload, but there was never the right person to do that because also your circle of people are all suffering as well, all in pain.
Yeah.
And actually you just needed that soundboard. And with the CBT, the techniques that CBT, uses is really helping you draw out those emotions, isn't it? And it's the most successful therapy type for disordered eating.
And I think just having that check in with her as well, just
Mm.
knowing, because I felt like, okay, we're a bit of a team now. She's on my side. She's got it. I don't want to let her down either. And
Mm.
it was not overnight at all. Like it was a few years. And then it really helped me. Like my restrictions stayed like massively, but my purging, my binging, I found ways of like avoiding that more with
Yes.
her. And I found like I wasn't just, if I felt stressed, I wasn't just going to the fridge to eat, and make myself sick. I would try and do different things. And at this time, I decided that I really, really wanted to go to drama school.
Mm.
And I put a lot of effort and focus into this. And therefore, if I was making myself sick, then I couldn't sing or I couldn't project my voice and I didn't have the energy to perform. And that was like a huge distraction for me, finding this thing that I was good at. And I felt like I had a purpose and I remember going on stage at school and people laughing at me and being like, "Oh, she's fit," but I did it anyway. And I was always cheering myself on and being like, "You know what, Shane, you've got this, do this, ignore them." And it was like my fire. It
Yeah.
was my
Yeah.
fire.
And I think that is something that's more like permanent. You know, we can all put on makeup and we can all have our nails done. It's all, materialistic. And it might
Mm.
give us 5 minutes of like, I feel good. And then you go back to the inside of you and to that soul, which is unhappy. Whereas drama, it's not, you're fueling your
Mm.
soul, you're fueling your self-worth there. And actually, that is such a key part in the recovery out of bulimia, is actually finding that thing. Doesn't matter if you're not good at it, that you love and that makes you feel like, empowered and increases your self-worth. And that was like the catalyst for you there for change, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was definitely with my making myself sick, but I would say it was always something I would go back to for a long time as a coping mechanism if something was really highly stressful. It wasn't like a daily thing, but it was like, oh my God, I feel so shit today. This has happened, da da da, I can't cope, bam. Like even it wouldn't even be a binge, it would just be like, I just need to get this out of me and make myself sick. And I had to really at work on that, and the laxatives as well. Laxatives was something like a safety blanket for me. And also, what I just found really hard for a long time is the yo-yo dieting. Like I was either bigger or skinnier, bigger or skinnier for a long time until like my late 20s when I felt like I went through something called my Saturn returns
Oh
when I was like,
yeah, get
yeah,
on the
in
moon.
my late 20s, and I just experienced my first healthy relationship, romantic relationship. But I felt like he wasn't the person for me. So I ended it, but I was so grateful for him because he taught me so much. And I felt like, so I went into, after I went to drama school, and I'm rewinding again. So after I felt like I'd sorted out my binging. So I went off to drama school, and you think, okay, drama school is like going to be the worst environment for someone that's got an eating disorder, right? But if anything, it felt like, yes, they commented on our weight. Yes, of course, like in ballet and stuff, they would tell you to like breathe in and like you sound like elephants when you're landing. But I honestly felt like we were celebrated for being individuals and for who we were. And I felt like I had my place there. And
Yeah.
yeah, I still kind of exploring like my body was always changing. I was bigger or thinner, but honestly, I wasn't struggling with my food as much. I felt like I was finding my way a lot more because I felt celebrated for who I was.
Yeah.
And the people that I was friends with were just great. And they were almost like on my frequency. Like they loved theatre and we were just like high vibe and just loved life and was silly. And it was really nice. And then you think, yeah, like going into that industry as well, like going to auditions and stuff, like you'd feel. But no, it's almost like that was the best thing that could have happened to me because I just found my way. And then I was either bigger or thinner. And again, I did feel it though, like when I was bigger and then when I was thinner, like the positive
The
reinforcement.
affirmations from other
It did.
people.
And it was almost, but then honestly, I'm proud of myself because I've always been like in the back of my head, like really trying to just cheer myself on, like always kind of like trying to journal my way through it. And anyway, my late 20s, I almost just stopped going on these like fad diets, stopped restricting, stopped saying to myself that I can't eat like that and I must do all this cardio and just relaxed, discovered yoga, moved into this house of mine, kind of like,
Exactly.
yeah, my environment, but my environment living the way that I want to live and eating how I want to eat. Whereas, like, because I lived after uni, I went back to my parents, so I'd eat what my parents ate and when they ate, and it was always just kind of on their schedule. And now I think about it, like how they ate the meals and stuff are a lot bigger than I naturally would cook or eat anyway. So then, like, moving into my house and I'm just like living and relax and feel like, oh my God, finally in my late 20s, I
Yeah.
feel some sense of peace and calm within myself. So much stuff changed. And like, I just felt like everything started to fall into place because I started to really like myself. And I think,
That's it.
yeah, in my 20s, I just didn't. I was just always battling with myself. And in my teens and got to my late 20s and I was like, oh my God, I'm proud of myself. And I do really like myself. And I don't like myself, I love myself. And I started to love myself and went on this self-love journey. But then I went on a show called Ride at First Sight and met someone who really challenged my self-love, because it was very hard, very difficult, very challenging, and it sent me on the biggest self-love journey of my life. But and again now, like my body, even someone the other day, I was someone in the street came up to me and she was like, oh my God, I loved your Married at First Sight talking. I thought you were a lot thinner though. You look thinner on TV. And
Who does that?
yeah, honestly,
Seriously.
honestly, I just was like, yeah. And did not cut deep because I've done so much work and I was like, yeah, at my wedding, I was thinner than I am now. I've gained weight, but I'm actually really happy and I'm really,
Oh,
really happy.
mate, don't even justify it.
No,
I wouldn't
but
have
then
even been able to give the pleasant nod. I just would have been like, see ya.
I know it is crazy, but it's like, yeah, my body's going to change, and there's so much more to life than this number on the scale, and
More to life. There's the name
more
of
to
the podcast.
life.
More to life. You
And,
got it in there.
and
Didn't
like
even ask you to say that.
no, but there is so much more to life. And like, yeah, last year when I was maintaining, because I went on this super, I didn't go on a diet. I was eating what I wanted because I was like, oh my God, I actually can just eat mindfully. This is what I
Yeah.
discovered. I eat when I'm hungry. I don't have some kind of schedule. I don't count calories. No way. I don't weigh my food. I don't do any of that. I just eat mindfully and I work out because I love it. Whereas
Yes.
before, in the past, counting my calories, I was working out. I was under stress all the time. I was like literally running and then getting to the certain amount of calories on the stepper or the cross trainer or whatever. And
Mm.
like literally looking at an apple and being like, okay, I'm adding you to my calorie list today in my journal. No, none of that.
Amazing.
None of that.
Don't just that is
Just free.
oh just that and that's it. It's finding peace, calming the nervous system down,
Yeah.
starting to act. And I think the universe, you know, you got to the late 20s and recovering and recovered from certain parts from this. The universe is like, right, we know that like all of this stuff, it's high lapses, relapses. And it's like the universe was like, let's just give you one big curveball just to challenge you again. But you knew what you had to do. You took yourself away. You invested in yoga even more. You healed
Yeah.
yourself. And like I didn't know you before, but I know you pretty well now. And I would say that you are in such like if off the back of an experience that was only like 12 months ago or something or less than that,
Mm.
like you seem in a really healthy place because you clearly do the work on yourself and you've
Yeah.
embedded this positive mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just that, because honestly, with what I went through on maths, I felt so, oh my God. Because when Paul C. Brunson looked at me and said, this has gone so wrong because Bradley, you've got demons, and Shona, you've got low self-esteem, I felt my heart break. Because I
Yeah.
was like, I've done so much work on my self-esteem, but now I've been presented with this guy that's really challenging it and trying so hard to like, rah, find this fire in my belly, but also at the same time caring so much about this person. Bam! Right, I am going to take so much control out of this. Did my yoga teacher training, and I can't tell you how healing that was. And then also just being like, stepping into me again and being like, he is the Dark Lord. I am a ray of sunshine. I truly believe that. I've got so much to offer. I'm such a nice person. I've
Yeah, I
got so
love
many great
it.
qualities. And
Yeah.
I'll also tell you what also really helped me in my recovery of eating and just recovery of my self-esteem and life and loving myself was eliminating certain people. And it sounds really harsh, but my friendships in my 20s weren't good for me. They
Yeah.
weren't good for me, and they aren't my go-to friends anymore. It's not that we're not friends, but they're not my go-to because the relationship wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
Whereas now, since eliminating, bam, so many beautiful people have come into my life that I'm more aligned with, and that's just made me feel happier in general. And like having healthy relationships, my relationship with Matt is so incredibly healthy and happy.
Yeah.
Therefore, I feel good about myself. Whereas in my 20s and my teens, all my friendships, there was constant bickering. And in my relationships with guys, they were all falling apart. So I'd
Yeah.
always blame myself. And like guys were shitty, and I'd go after these toxic men that would treat me so badly, that would validate how I felt. Whereas now, no more. I'm with Matt, and honestly, I just feel like I'm glowing.
Oh, and you are glowing. You're glowing so much. Honestly, it's like I can see sun
I'm
rays coming from your head.
just so happy now, and I just believe that now I would never, ever, ever, because I've done so much work and truly am in such a good place, I would never fall back into that, because I will be completely honest. When I got sent home from maths, felt so low, incredibly low. Like my whole body, like you know, your whole body just hurts.
Yeah.
I felt really sick, and I was like, I don't want to eat. I don't want any food. I just feel awful. Felt so worried about everything, like what was going to happen, what was going to be said. Didn't so confused about this person. Couldn't get my head around what had happened. Blah blah blah, and really just wanted to make myself sick. Like that's all I wanted to do, and I did it once. I did do it once because, and as soon as I did it, I got on a call with a therapist and was like, oh my God, I don't want to fall back into this, but I feel so highly stressed right now. My mum was really ill again. Like this time it was actual physical. She got cancer, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Can I cope with this? And I was like, yes, I can. So I spoke to her, and she said, Shona, it's not a relapse. You're not falling back. When a smoker has one more wears a fag and they've quit, doesn't mean they're going to be back into the cycle again. You've done it once, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it again. I just needed to, and that's the thing with me as well. I was like, now I've done it, I have to tell someone. I told my housemate, I told my best friend. I was like, I'm not keeping this a secret. Like, I want people to be there for me as well. And just to, rather than before, it was all a secret. And then they were like, right, come on. And then they got with me, and it was fine. And I got through it.
Yeah, because you're such a stronger person now. And I think all the people that are listening to this is just a really fantastic story and example of where you can go from being in this chaos, and also years of chaos, but you can have a happy ending. You can get out of it, and and people, you will, as long as you've got, you put a focus on it, you can make it happen. Like, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're so welcome.
Absolutely amazing. I think we should do another episode on maths because I want to know all the details.
Oh, there's some absolute tea. You know, as time goes on and it gets like what's the wounds get? It's not as painful for me to talk about. Yeah. I'm just going to reveal the tea.
Oh yeah, reveal it on my podcast, please, babe. Disclaimers right here.
But I feel like in like 6 months, I'll just be like, yeah, here it is.
That's it. Well, or maybe I will take a little secret microphone when we're in Spain together.
Oh yeah.
Give you a few wines and we'll get it recorded.
Oh my God, get it all out.
Oh my love, thank you so much. So where can everyone find you if they've not found you already?
So my biggest social channel is Shona Mandy on Insta. Yeah. And so soon I'm going to be posting more yoga content because I'm going to be out with you in Spain. Yeah. And that's the goal. I've just been so incredibly busy that I haven't really had time to focus on that, but that's the next goal for me. Because we want to live that nice, chill, balanced, self-loving, happy life.
Everyone needs a bit of yoga in their life, don't they?
They do.
Sure. Oh, well, thank you so much, my dear, and have a fabulous weekend.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.